What can you expect from newborn sleep, and how can mums cope with newborns? Well, I want to give you 5 tips today to help you with that really delicate early newborn stage. Number 1, expect those mummy emotions. They're gonna happen. Hormones are everywhere, so there's chemical stuff going on. Plus you've got this whole rush of new feelings and emotions that you can't possibly have felt before, especially for first-time mums. So, and even for, second, third, it doesn't matter how many, there's this whole new person that you've just brought into the world, and inevitably feelings, all kinds of feelings are going to be coming up. Coupled with the emotions and the sleep deprivation, no wonder we feel a little bit like we're not ourselves. So expect those emotions. Be kind to yourself and know that you're going to have them and it's okay. So if you feel a bit weepy, it's fine. If you feel a bit crazy, it's fine. It really is completely normal. So just embrace it and know that this is not going to last forever and that you're going to have a lot of stuff going on initially. Like I said, look after yourself, be kind to yourself, allow yourself that time to adjust. Number 2 is don't try to please everybody. And when I say that, I mean like in terms of fixing plans or, if you're like me, if you say you're going to be there at a time to meet somebody, you want to be there because you said you would. But when you have a new baby, things happen. You might just not feel like it. Or you might have had a rough night and the baby's sleeping and you're supposed to be somewhere and you decide that actually, baby's sleeping, I'm going to just put my feet up for a little while. And you won't want to stick to those plans. So instead of having to cancel plans all everywhere, just don't make firm plans. Maybe just say, look, maybe I'll come, I don't know. If I see you, I see you. Keep things very loose and flexible so that you can roll with the punches, because every day is going to look a bit different. And how you feel one day, you might think, oh yes, we'll do that next week. And next week you just might be feeling a bit different. So try and keep a very flexible schedule in that respect. And like I said, you don't need to be trying to please everybody. Nobody is placing expectations on you. It's purely the expectations you're placing on yourself. So just let those relax and give yourself that time. Number 3, newborns are likely to sleep a lot, especially in those first couple of days when you first bring them home. They do sleep a lot. First of all, jump on top of that. It's almost like nature's way of giving you an initial recovery. It's like, I've just gone through labour, I've given birth, and then nature goes, look, baby's going to sleep for a while. You just rest that off because you're going to need the energy. So take note of that, especially if it's your first time round. If you have your baby and then baby is sleeping quite a lot in the first 48 hours, that's your window. Take it, get some rest. Of course your baby needs feeding, and you may even be advised to wake them to feed them in that first 48 hours. Often that can avoid jaundice and that kind of thing. So obviously make sure they are feeding regularly enough, but otherwise if they're taking that rest, it's your window to take that rest. Like I said, especially in those first couple of days. It's really easy to not grab that opportunity, and I know I didn't, but because you're excited, you've just brought home this bundle of joy, everybody wants to come and see you, you want to show off your new baby, it's natural to feel excited. But if you do all of that before you know it, you're so depleted, and you've possibly woken your baby up or let them be disturbed because of all the visitors. It's not the best start for them either. So I would honestly, I know it's easier said than done, and I'm saying this now having been there, but actually I would, if I could go back, I would actually say, okay, look, I'm having a baby. I don't want to see or hear from anybody for a couple of days. And then you're all very welcome, but just let me have that little recovery time. And I actually think that it gives mums a chance to process those emotions. It gives you a chance to bond with your baby. It gives you a chance to rest and recoup. And then you really can enjoy the next days and the coming weeks. Number 4, or am I number 3? No, number 4, my 4th tip for you today. Sleep is really disorganised in the early months, really in the first sort of 4 months roughly. It's all over the place. You're gonna get short naps and longer sleeps, and you know, it could be really random. Some babies do fall into a very good natural rhythm, others don't. You don't need to force it, just be aware that sleep will be a bit disorganized, and you know, your baby may begin on quite a good rhythm, and you know that actually they're going to sleep, they're roughly feeding every 4 hours and they're sleeping well in between. You may be lucky and you may see that. That doesn't mean that's going to last. So just be aware that sleep can be a little disorganized as long as your baby is feeding regularly. So make sure you're getting those feeds in. The rest of the time, if your baby's sleeping, let them sleep. You might think, wow, this is a bit of a long sleep. It's because your baby needs the sleep. They're not going to sleep more than they need to sleep. So if your baby's asleep, it's because that's what's right for them right now. So I really don't recommend waking them up because someone's come around to visit. You know, who's that for? Is that in the baby's best interests? I don't think so. The only time I would wake a sleeping baby is if they really are sleeping beyond feed time and they really do need a feed. But that's something you can take advice from depending on your baby's, you know, health and birth weight and everything else. You need to speak to your healthcare provider on that. Otherwise, you'll probably find they're just quite naturally ready for a feed every 3 hours, maybe every 4, depending again on their size and everything else. So don't panic and think, oh, must wake my baby. You really don't need to. They're resting because they need their rest. And you need yours too. So please don't think, okay, baby's sleeping, I've got this small window, I need to tidy the house, cook the dinner, Accept the help that's offered to you. Take some rest. It can wait. You need to recover. Again, especially first-time mums, because you think, you know, everybody talks about, oh, it's so tiring, baby's keeping me up all night. And you think, yeah, well, I did. And then it hits you and you're like, wow, they really do wake up in the night. And yes, they do, which they're gonna do. They need to wake regularly to feed. They need to wake regularly to know you're there. It's all really, really natural. And they're going to wake in the night. Don't be under any illusion that you might get one that just sleeps through the night. They don't, not in these early weeks. They're going to need to wake. It's completely normal. So I think it's important to get clear and be comfortable with the fact that your night sleep is going to be disturbed. It's inevitable. It's not forever. When you're in it at the beginning, you think, oh my gosh, this is my life now. It's not your life now. It's actually a really, really small time. It just feels like your life when you're in the middle of it. Your nights are going to be disturbed, which is an even bigger reason why you need to catch up in the daytime. And get rest when you can. And even if you can't sleep, just sit down, put your feet, elevate your feet, relax everything, take some deep breaths, and just let everything go. Even that is cleansing and refreshing for your body. So get that rest when you can, knowing that your nights are going to be disturbed for a little while. And yeah, that's an inevitable part of you know, babies at the beginning, which brings me on to my 5th point for you today, which is about babies' sleep itself. They need your help initially to get to sleep. If you imagine, you know, baby's born into the world, they have no idea how to put themselves to sleep. It's something that we're going to teach them a bit further down the line, but at the beginning they haven't got a clue. They've never done it for themselves. When they were growing in your tummy, they were sleeping at certain times, but they were always lulled off by motion. They were like tightly wrapped, like that sort of swaddling feeling. There was white noise kinds of sounds going on. All those things are soothing and lulling and, you know, rocking, and it's all stuff that soothe them to sleep. You know, they might have even sucked their thumb or something else to soothe even before they were born. So actually, to be laid down in a flat, empty space still is just going to be weird. And a baby's going to be like, what do I do with this? This is odd. Can you imagine the difference? That's so different. So they're going to need your help. And this is why it's really, really natural that we rock our babies and sing them to sleep and make all these sounds and all this lully stuff that helps them go to sleep. And it's easy to think, oh no, I mustn't do that because I'm going to make a rod for my own back. I'm going to get into bad habits and then they're going to come to rely on that and I really shouldn't do that. You're not wrong, but that can wait. So yes, those are things that aren't going to be sustainable long term for like the first few years, but in the first few months, you can get away with those things and you can then change them somewhere between 18 weeks and 6 months. Very easy to change. And even after 6 months, obviously the sooner the better. Once you get to 6 months, whatever you're doing is going to start to stick and become ingrained. And then it's, it just gets a bit harder to shift. You can still change it. But in those early few weeks and the early couple of months, they need your help. So don't worry about bad habits, as it were. Don't think that you're going to cause a big lasting problem. Just know that you can move away from those in due course and be ready to. That doesn't mean you can't do anything to help. You can get into good rhythms. You can get a nice, simple bedtime routine, create a little bit of rhythmicity to your day. You can set the scene that nighttime's coming. There are definitely foundations you can lay that are positive, but don't get hung up on, I mustn't rock my baby because I'll cause a bad habit. You rock and soothe your baby as much as you need to. Okay, so there you go, 5 points for you on how to cope with newborns' sleep and how to cope generally as a parent or a new parent with a newborn.